Hello everyone, welcome to a new video for Bitcoin price prediction based on Elliott wave analysis. I wish you to have a nice start for the week and of course a successful trading day. We're gonna start with the channeling on the daily here where we have a 1, 2, 3, 4 and a 5 impulse toward the upside. This is our bull run which has started of course from the 15k until the 110k. Now basically this wave 5 can be done and finished already there where we have took the acceleration channel here. With this acceleration channel, we can see exactly that the price has left the base channel and the corrective channel hitting exactly the middle line. After this, going outside the acceleration channel again, and supposing that we have a triple 1-2s here, we have finished 3, 4, 5, and then 4 and a 5, and we still have the final 4 and a 5 toward the upside. This final wave 5 has to be, of course, an impulse where we are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 finish again inside this corrective channel. We can see clearly that the price action has left this corrective channel and now ranging outside of it, testing of course the upper line of it and still of course looking for potential higher prices. However, as a wave 1, 2 here, we have a little bit some issues. We're gonna see it of course on the lower time frame, but if the price stays above this corrective channel ranging until we start an impulse of course towards the upside, I would say higher prices might be seen for Bitcoin. What we would like to see anyway is of course for the ultimate bullish scenario here is of course a 1, 2, 3, 4 and a 5. The wave 5 has to hit the lower line of this acceleration channel, which it might of course bring us around the 140k on the daily chart. Now let's see this in much more accurate targets, much more accurate counting, where we are looking at this bullish scenario that it might hit of course the 142 and in confluence of course with this acceleration channel lower line or bottom line, and then we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 and a 5 potentially to unfold and hit at the 142k in confluence of course of this channeling. However, in this scenario where we have a 1, 2 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a wave 3, you finished a wave 4, you would like to see a 1, 2 and then 3, 4, 5 as explained. However, the issue that we have here is 0.38 was not taken for a wave 2, which is of course reducing the possibility again for a massive impulse toward the upside. Plus, of course, that we have seen the same issue in the move toward the upside here. So I'm wondering if this is gonna unfold finally as a wave 5 or it's gonna unfold as 3 waves toward the upside, which is explained in this scenario exactly. I would say this one where you might have simply 3 waves for higher after having 3 waves toward the downside for the wave A here. You're having a potential W, X, and a Y for a wave B. And this is an expanding flat where your wave B can hit around the 126, which is an all-time high for Bitcoin, but still, of course, a corrective wave B as an expanding flat, and it might move towards the downside massively for a wave C, taking the low again around the 70s and even potentially lower, and that because of course an expanding flat would like to hit around the 1.618 fib level, taken of course from this wave A here to the wave B in case that we get of course this high of a wave B. So you might get of course the following targets around 68k for a wave C. In this case scenario, I would say this is your bearish market, that it has unfolded here a big corrective wave and it has finished kind of like a wave 2 and then of course finished wave 1 here, and you might start of course a new bull run toward the upside after all. And of course, another possible scenario here is a smaller expanding flat that we might have. Now, the difference between this expanding flat and this big expanding flat, this one, of course, will reach around, as explained, the 60k. And while this one is, of course, something else, is a very smaller correction that you might have as an A, B, and a C, finishing kind of like as this wave B here, and then moving toward the upside for a wave C, continuation, I would say, like, or longer time for this expanding flat that you might have here. So rather than moving directly to it, you might get an expanding flat and therefore moving toward the upside again for wave C. And of course, again, a bear market might unfold, of course, for these targets and continuation toward the upside later on. So those are the difference between all these scenarios on the daily. Most of them are looking toward the upside. The minimum targets would be 119k, 126k in case we are very bullish and we're looking for something toward the upside. You might see here a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, and the wave 5 might be extended, of course, toward the 142k. This is in conclusion, of course, for the daily scenarios. So let's move inside the 2 hours chart here. On the 2 hours chart, we are looking at the bullish scenario as well, that it might unfold here in several ways. So in case we are in a big wave 1, 2 here, where we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, you have finished a wave 1 already there, and you got an A, B, and a C. You're looking for a wave C toward the downside again, and that because, of course, the wave B took the 1.38 and start to move impulsively toward the downside, potentially as a wave 1, 2 here, and then having 3, 4, 5 to hit, of course, the 0.38, of course, which is the minimum requirement for this, of course, wave 2 in case we are in a big wave 1, 2, meaning 1, A, B, and a C for a wave 2. And as you can see, the confluence between the A, B, and a C here, 1.618, can be so much in confluence with the 0.38 fib level, which is a minimum requirement for a wave 2. Now, another alternative scenario, of course, is a already finished wave 1 there. With this wave 5 that we saw an impulse here toward the upside, we saw a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Finishing wave 1, and currently you're looking at simply A, B, C for the 1-to-1 fib level 105k. In this case scenario, you are looking, of course, for a wave C to continue the 0.38 because we did not took the 0.38 in any case yet. We're still looking for higher and higher without reaching the proper fib level for a wave 2, which it might unfold, of course, a very nice and proper impulse toward the upside. And that means, of course, you still might have, of course, lower prices toward the 105k in confluence 1-to-1 fib level with a 0.38. And as you can see, you did not reach yet the perfect time or the minimum time requirement. The perfection is 0.618. which it might unfold, of course, as an impulse toward the downside. And this, of course, has a very high possibility, guys, that it might unfold in this way as an ABC. Potentially that this wave 5 can be related to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish a wave 1, and we're looking for ABC toward the downside. The final scenario that you might have here is, of course, simply an ABC toward the upside, which is this magenta scenario here, where you might have, of course, the 3-wave corrective that we talked about it in a small expanding flat on the daily. We already saw a 3 waves toward the downside. You might get 3 waves toward the upside because this, as 0.23, plays the role definitely for a wave B, very short in level and very short in time, meaning much higher possibility goes for a wave B here, and having a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Simple impulse toward the upside to unfold a wave C 116k. Don't forget that this might unfold a very smaller expanding flat on the daily and then moving toward the downside again to take the low below 99k potentially, and then of course moving toward the upside again because of course this is a corrective wave. But don't forget that this might unfold something like A, B, and a C expanding flat and then moving massively even later on for lower prices for Bitcoin as a bear market. I would say also on the 15-minute chart, we are still kind of corrective here, and as you can see, you might have here somehow like a corrective wave, 3 waves toward the upside as an A, B, and a C. We see a very long range correction, which is far from a wave 2 and followed, of course, by some higher prices, which it can be, of course, a diagonal here finished as a wave C, meaning an A, B, and a C toward the upside might be finished already there, and you might start to seek for lower later on because on the 15-minute chart, we are looking at something potentially impulsive, but somehow if you take it on the 5-minute chart here, if you have double 1 2 3 4 and a 5, and then 4 and a 5 potentially can be a finished impulse toward the downside as a wave 1 and continuation wave 2 3 4 and a 5. By all means, on the 50-minute chart on the lower time frame, I still don't see yet a full power to move toward the upside, especially in this area where you have here potentially, like in case this is a wave 1, this wave 2 is very long in range, which a little bit far possibility for a wave 2 makes it much more looking like a wave B. And plus, if you take those of course waves here that you have, and you have kind of like an WX and a Y, that is much more like 3 waves toward the upside, having WX and a Y for a wave B, and then 1 2 3 4 and a 5 for a wave C to finish a wave B, meaning you're having here kind of like a wave A, wave B, and we're looking for 1 2 3 4 5 toward the downside for a wave C. And this might of course complete much better with of course the alternative bullish scenario here that we might have for a wave 2. This wave C might finish it of course and start the move towards the upside. That was it for Bitcoin. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your likes and comments, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.